All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes is social media. I forgot what I was going to say. All right, anyway, yesterday's video, for some reason it was muted. It didn't come out. So, and thanks to the people that DM'd me to let me know that it wasn't working. So anyway, want to talk to you today once again about the end game, basically voter suppression. And so we have to realize that right now, the conservative, white nationalist agenda is voter suppression. We have the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who is, I don't know if it's true or not, but anyway, they're collecting mailboxes in certain states. Why? So that people won't have it easy in order to cast their ballots by mail. So we have all of these different things that are going on. Voter suppression in the form also of Kanye West running a fake campaign that he even admits is being funded by Republicans. All right, so he's running a campaign being funded by Republicans so that he can split the vote. He also, right now, there's a campaign going on, and I mentioned Dr. Claude Anderson, and also I mentioned Dr. Boyce Watkins yesterday, and the reason why I mentioned them is because they're fence straddlers. Okay, they're not telling you to vote, but they're not telling you not to vote, and I think that's horrible, because then it's allowing people to go through all these scenarios. Then we have, of course, the whole thing that's being pushed about how Kamala Harris is not black. I don't know. She went to Howard University, a black, historically black college and university. It appears, I've pulled up some pictures and put them on my Facebook. Found some pictures on the internet that people have been circulating around of her pledging Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Kind of hard not to be, one of the oldest black organizations in the world, not even the country, but in the world. So kind of hard, they've been around since the 1900s. All right. So what I'm trying to say is that even though you can say what you want, but it seems to me like she appeared, or she tried, but everything that was in her life was black, and even her parents. Once again, if you have one drop of melanin, you are black. Sorry, because that's what the universe is made out of. The universe is made out of melanin. If you have melanin, if you tan, if you go in the sun and you tan, you have melanin. If you go in the sun and you burn, you do not. And I'm not talking about with a whole bunch of sunscreen and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. So now let's get this down, because and this is the other thing. They realize that there is no such thing as minorities anymore. All right. Okay. So we have to change that. That's another thing. The paradigm has to change about minorities. We cannot keep talking about we are minorities, because we're not. Melanated people are the majority of people in the world. The majority of people in the world come from Alkebulan. No matter how you got there, even if you're Eastern Indian, even if you're what they call Native American, whatever, all of those people came from where? They came from Africa, or Alkebulan, as I call it. So we need to really stop tripping about all of these different things that are going on, because of the fact that, and I had labeled the post at first, who's black enough, and voter suppression. Who's black enough? What is it? And the other thing is, who's oppressed enough? Because really it's a civil rights movement. It's not really, and I know everybody wants to get to Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter and White Lives Matter and all this stuff, but all lives matter. That's true. The only thing is, and the only thing that I understand the separation is the fact that blacks traditionally have gone through more. All right. So now, and if Kamala Harris if she really didn't want to identify with black folks, she could have gone to a majority college She could have done things that majority people do, and she didn't have to identify with the HBCU at all, not at all. You know, she could have kept it completely 100% white, and that's how it could have been for her. You know, because she didn't have to do that. Now, as far as the birth certificates, y'all know that birth certificates, just like on my birth certificate, I'm a Negro. but you know good and well I'm not a Negro. But she didn't write that birth certificate out. She didn't, you know, there are officials in the hospital that do that stuff. All right. And the other thing is all you got to realize, once again, that goes back to the whole minority thing. Because what? Because if I take everybody and I make them into what? If I make them into basically, if I make them into Caucasians, everybody that I want to be a Caucasian, then that skews the numbers my way, and I can tell you, oh yeah, you're a minority. So that's what that's all about. That whole thing on the birth certificate, because you can look at her mother, and you can clearly look at her mother, and you can tell that she is not a Caucasian. All right, ain't nothing about her, you know, ain't nothing about her says Caucasus Mountains. Ain't nothing about her daddy says Caucasus Mountains. So, so y'all need to stop playing that game. And then we got all these people, and this is what was on my mind last night, was like, all these people walking around calling yourselves woke, but y'all don't vote. Apathy is not a strategy. How can you be woke, but you don't vote? I mean, for real. And once again, I'm gonna ask the $100 million question. What is the benefit? If you can show me a benefit to not voting, you know, but to just sit up there and go, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna pick my next slave master. Really? I mean, the only way that person could be a slave, you know, once again, slavery was a choice, right? The only way you can really pick your slave master is if you don't do anything, and really you ain't picking him then, because he's still gonna get one. The logic is not there. It's like there's still somebody's gonna win the presidency, regardless of whether you vote or not. So you might as well vote and at least get your say in. And even if you don't like the person, but here's the thing: everybody is rushing to this whole judgmental thing about Kamala Harris and about Joe Biden, but y'all not rushing to judgment for Trump and his cronies. And they have actually done things during their administration that are not only racist and bigoted and everything else, but on top of that, you know, come on, y'all, they got little kids. They got little Mexican kids locked in jail cells and in cages. But ain't nobody saying nothing about that. And that's going on concurrently right now. That ain't happened in 1994. That's going on right now, today, as we live and breathe and I'm speaking to you. That's going on right now. You got a president that calls everybody's country that's not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, calls them shithole countries. You got a president that does not, that clearly does not like black people, you know, but tries to use you and tries, you know, buys your votes, pays you to come sit in the crowd where he's speaking. And look, and even Herman Cain died, you know, going to sit in the crowd speaking for Trump, or listening to Trump speak, or however that went down. But do you understand what I'm saying? So voter suppression is everything. And why if it didn't matter, why are they doing voter suppression? Why are they, you know, like I said yesterday, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, y'all, you know, look at the record. They literally hid ballots. They found ballots in the post office. They found ballots in, you know, locked in closets in buildings and all kind of stuff. Why? You know, you got that one lady and the one man. You got two people that we know of that were going into the mail and changing people's voter registration so that they would be Republican and not Democrat. All of that. Why are they doing that? If they got the majority and there's nothing to worry about, why? See, start asking yourself some logical questions. Just be logical. And if there is a benefit, if there was a benefit to not voting, because once again, political power, just like Dr. Claude Anderson, he calls his book is called Powernomics, right? But you cannot have, in my opinion, humbly, you cannot have powernomics unless you have political power. You can't, I don't care how much, if you don't have political power, that's why people that are very rich, what do? They try to get into what? Into politics, or they try to get into politicians and stuff like that. Why? So that they can further their agendas. That's the same thing. That's why people like Trump. They don't like Trump because Trump is a great president. They like Trump because Trump gave them back a lot of money. They got money back, and they're making money off of Trump. And they're not paying taxes. And they're, all these things that Trump did. And they like that. They're happy about that. They don't have a problem with that. And they know he's a no good guy. They understand that. And basically on most things, he's been a failure throughout his entire life. But they still are going to gravitate around him. Why? Because he has their best interest at heart. He doesn't have your best interest at heart, but he definitely has their best interest at heart. So I get it. But the only other reason why would you try to prevent people from voting? What's the purpose behind preventing people from voting? Why is voter suppression even out there? Why is it even out there? Because they understand that they don't have the majority anymore. And when they understood that, and once again I bring up Brother Jesse Jackson, because and I'm thankful. Everybody don't like Jesse, everybody don't like Al Sharpton, everybody don't like everybody don't nobody like nobody black. But one thing that you got to look at is you got to look at the truth in what they found out. And that's why I keep saying y'all need to go to the ancestors and to the elders, because they know. They got information, they got knowledge. Maybe we'd use the knowledge and information in a little bit different way than they used it, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s and all that. We understand that. Yeah, okay, there has to be new strategy, but some of the stuff they learn should also be included in the strategy. And like I said, when Jesse Jackson ran for president, and they found out that if they registered and voted in every county that they went and they registered unregistered black people and they voted, they won every county. They didn't lose not one county. So what does that tell us? What is that really saying to us? It's saying, look, if you register and vote, then you can win. And even with the numbers with Hillary, they're floating all around. Go and pull those numbers up. When Hillary lost because black people did not vote. Not because Donald Trump was a juggernaut. You could tell, and it was only by, in most counties, it was by thousands of votes. It wasn't a huge landslide or huge numbers. It was, and it had nothing to do. Once again, I had somebody come up about time. Had nothing to do with the Electoral College. Had nothing to do with that. It never got that far because Trump won states by minimal margins of votes because people were apathetic. Apathy is not a strategy. And once again, yesterday I talked about the universal law of action. There is no universal law of inaction. Everything is vibrating. Everything is attracted. The law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of action. All of those laws state that you got to do something. That you have to make a move. You have to make moves. You have to be the one that's actually making moves. And if you don't vote, you're not making moves. That's just an apathetic. That's just like saying, and then trying to say out there like you're so, you're so great because, oh well, I didn't help elect the new slave master. But you did, and if in a backhanded way, you did help elect him. Why? Because you didn't vote. So whoever was in the default position, you basically voted for the person in the default position. Just because you don't like somebody or whatever. And yeah, you're talking about politics from the 80s and 90s, and it's 40 years later. And the politics situation is a whole lot different. So I encourage you, go out and vote. I ain't even telling you how to vote. I'm just saying go out and vote, or else Trump gonna be president again. And if Trump is president again, you got a lame duck president that you have no control over, that who does not follow the rule of law. And you think you chose a slave master. Let Trump be in as a lame duck, and you'll see a slave master for real. Anyway, Fast 15 Minutes is up. My name is Judson Powell. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons, but most of all, hit the love button.